Hey folks, the whimsical fantasy adventure of the Legend of Zelda series is captured in heroic moments, adventurous journeys, breaking down puzzles, fighting off monsters, and so much more in between. However, one part of the series that contrasts all of that is loss. Characters who have come and gone, heroes who have fallen in battle, victims of great tragedies, and those who succumbed to dark fates. On the surface, Zelda games are typically quite bright, but peel back the layers of a hero's tale and there's many dark moments. In today's video, joined by special guest Triforce Times, we're going to be delving into the most tragic deaths across the Zelda series, a follow-up collaboration to a video we did over on his channel exploring the darkest parts of Zelda lore, which will be linked below if you want to check it out afterwards.
Hey everyone, I'm Triforce Times, and if you're into Zelda lore, mysteries and deep dives, that is exactly what I do. A massive thank you to Hyrule Gamer for having me on. It's honestly great to be a part of this video today, so let's dive in.
Be sure to go and grab yourself a delicious snack and drink for the video, folks. Subscribe if you're new, and drop a cheeky wee like down below. Now, let's get into Zelda's most tragic character deaths. Tucked away between western Necluda and the Lanayru wetlands is the peaceful settlement of Kakariko Village. This is the home of the Sheikah during the Wilds era. We meet an individual here by the name of Dorian, a gatekeeper to Impa's home at the foot of the village, also a single father with two wee girls, Coco and Kotla. However, there's a dark past that looms over him. Sometime before the events of the present story, Dorian had a wife, the mother of their two children, the love of his life. They lived happily and settled here in Kakariko, but one day, Dorian's past caught up with him. Prior to settling down, he was actually a member of the treacherous Yiga clan, a group of exiled Sheikah turned Ganon worshippers, hailing from their hideout in the crevices of the Gerudo mountain range. The Yiga clan's primary goal is to eliminate those who oppose Ganon. Dorian lived this life for a time, but later on in life decided it wasn't a way to live. He left the Yiga clan and attempted to start up a quiet life after meeting his wife and moving to Kakariko. The Yiga clan, however, didn't like this. Leaving their group wasn't exactly an option. Once you're part of the Yiga, you're sworn in. In retaliation to Dorian's betrayal of the clan, they sent out soldiers to murder his wife. With his two young children on the line, Dorian made a deal. He'd remain in Kakariko Village living peacefully with his two children, but on the condition he'd act as a Yiga spy, an inside man at the heart of the Sheikah tribe. This isn't what he wanted. His wife, who we never learned the name of, fell to a horrible and terrifying death, murdered by the Yiga clan without any reason to suspect such an assault coming her way. He wanted to leave that life behind him, but the brutal reality of the Yiga cost him the life of his love. In the time frame of Link's adventure, he meets Dorian at the front of Impa's home whilst on duty, unknowingly feeding private information about the village and Link's whereabouts back to the Yiga clan. His involvement in the Yiga is uncovered through the Stolen Heirloom side quest. Link can discover the village's sacred heirloom to have been stolen, leaving Paya distraught as someone managed to slip past the guards. Upon further investigation, Link discovers that it was taken by a Yiga blade master, who found out about the heirloom and how to find it through their Yiga spy, Dorian, whose past and punishment continues to follow him. To the north of the village, we can find a rock formation that creates a grave. It's confirmed to us by Coco that this is where her mother rests. A sad moment, as it's clear the girls don't know what happened to her, which I'm sure is something that also holds Dorian down with great grief. In Breath of the Wild's Masterworks books detailing additional information and lore to the game, it's revealed that there was a concept for a ghostly Sheikah woman to be present within Kakariko Village. It's not detailed what her role in the game would have been. This never made the final version of the game, but it's clear that this would have been the deceased mother of Koko and Kotla, the brutally and unfairly murdered wife of Dorian.
In Twilight Princess, there's a shocking moment that stands out from the rest of the story. Ganondorf has already been defeated, captured, chained up, surrounded by the ancient sages, and they all represent authority, balance, and judgment. It seems like there's little danger, and, nothing can really go wrong. Everything suggests this should be the end, at least in Twilight Princess. The sages are carrying out Ganondorf's sentence, and for once in Zelda, evil is contained and about to be dealt with. The Sage of Water steps forward to perform the execution. Their role is to keep balance and make sure someone like Ganondorf cannot threaten Hyrule again. And for a very brief moment, it feels like the cycle might finally be broken. This time, the story is not going to repeat itself. Ganondorf is going to be stopped before he can rise again. Then suddenly, all that hope is shattered. As the execution begins, something starts to happen. Ganondorf doesn't die. Instead, the Triforce of Power appears on his hand, showing the sages have missed something very, very important. He is not someone they can judge and execute as planned. He is protected by a greater power. In an instant, everything they believed just falls apart. The chains are useless, the execution means nothing, and the balance they thought they had is suddenly very fragile. Before the sages can react or even understand what is happening, he strikes. In a single merciless instant, the Sage of Water is killed. There's no cry, no chance to resist, just swift, deadly action. It happens so quickly, leaving you with little time to process it. One moment, the sage is delivering judgment. The next, they're gone. That suddenness is what makes it so shocking. Instead of a meaningful farewell, death simply comes instantly. Until that moment, the sages seem to be in control, standing above the conflict and keeping balance. But in that moment, that image is shattered. They are not in control. They didn't understand Ganondorf, and that mistake has consequences that they cannot fix. After the Sage of Water dies, everything changes. The certainty that they had had is gone, replaced by hesitation and realization, and now they're just simply trying to contain the threat that's in front of them. They don't try to face Ganondorf directly again, instead, they send him to the Twilight Realm. Ganondorf isn't destroyed and the cycle is not broken, it's just simply delayed, pushed into another realm where he will return. The moment that was supposed to be the end of the story actually keeps it going. That is why the Sage of Water's death is so tragic. It's the moment where control is lost and the hope of ending the conflict early just disappears. Everything that happens next in the story goes back to that one moment, a single mistake, a misunderstanding, and a split second when those meant to keep balance realise they never actually had it.
In Majora's Mask, deep within the Woodfall region of Termina, we can find the Deku Butler, the sideman of the monarch. He's found beside the throne on which the king sits and serves as, well, the butler. However, it's through this seemingly insignificant character that we learn of a truly tragic loss. After Link comes to Woodfall, conquers the Woodfall Temple, and rescues the Deku Princess, he's granted access to the Woodfall Shrine to collect a reward for his efforts. When he enters, he meets the Deku Butler inside. Before getting his reward, he must race with the butler to the end. It's a tough challenge to keep up with the swift-moving butler, whilst navigating the tricky turns of the Deku Shrine. Once at the end, Link is given the Mask of Sense, his reward for helping out the Deku Kingdom. During this interaction, the Deku Butler tells Link that their race reminded him of racing his son, who for reasons unknown left home a long time ago. The Deku Butler clearly hasn't seen or heard from his boy in a while. There's a hint of sadness as he speaks of his child, but if only he knew just how sad a reality his son had faced. You see, by this point in the story, the Deku Butler's son is dead. Whilst his father wonders where he went, the cold reality is that his son met a terrible fate, one that others across Termina would also meet. This isn't discovered until the very end of the game. During the end credits of Majora's Mask, we see a bitter scene as the Deku Butler wails in misery somewhere within the pathway between the Lost Woods and Termina. He's crying over the hollow remains of his son, who Link actually passed by at the very beginning of his adventure, unknown to the hero at the time that this is the remains of the Deku Butler's son. Tatl even says that it looks dark and gloomy, almost as if it could start crying at any moment. But how did the Deku Butler's son actually die? Well, the reason makes this all the more tragic. It's believed that the Butler's son was a victim of Majora's evil. When Link was transformed into a Deku Scrub himself at the beginning of this adventure, it's believed that the soul stolen to do this to Link was that of the Deku Butler's son. The other transformation masks in the game are obtained by allowing souls to be at rest, transferring them into the mask for Link to use, which also gives the look of whoever's soul is infused into the mask, meaning how Link appears as a Deku is how the Butler's son would have appeared. The Hyrule Historia book, whilst not entirely accurate across the board, also further confirms this idea. This chart here shows us the origins of each transformation mask Link obtains, with the Deku mask being linked directly to the Deku Butler's son, who tragically had his very soul stolen from him by the ancient untamed evil of Majora's Mask.
A century before Breath of the Wild, Hyrule believed it could finally defeat Calamity Ganon. The kingdom prepared more than ever, using Sheikah technology they had rediscovered. The divine beasts were brought back and 4 champions were chosen for their strength and their values. Mipha, Daruk, Revali and Urbosa each represented their own people and cultures, standing for unity across Hyrule. Alongside Link and Zelda, they formed a rare united team in the Zelda series, and for once, it seemed like Hyrule was ready, and maybe the cycle would finally end. But hope can be a risky thing. When Calamity Ganon returned, he was already ahead of them. He targeted the Champions' plan. The Guardians, who were supposed to protect Hyrule, were corrupted and turned against everybody. The Divine Beasts, Hyrule's strongest weapons, were taken over from within, and suddenly everything Hyrule trusted became its downfall. Instead of fighting together, the champions ended up alone, each trying to survive. They couldn't communicate or help each other, and disaster naturally followed. The unity that once made Hyrule strong was gone, replaced by silence and isolation, and their defeat felt almost certain. Each champion had to face a blight of Ganon. It felt like Ganon knew exactly who they were and created enemies just to defeat them. Revali, who valued control and precision in the skies, was brought down by Wind Blight. Daruk, known for his strength and resilience, was overwhelmed by Fire Blight. Urbosa, calm and commanding, faced Thunder Blight, which matched her speed and skill. And then Mipha, maybe the strongest of all, was left alone against Water Blight, where her compassion and healing simply couldn't save her. These losses were full of helplessness, as if the outcome was decided before the battles even began. What makes it even more tragic is that we know these characters beyond their battles. Revali always wants to prove himself and compares himself to Link. Daruk is warm and dependable, always ready to risk to protect others. And Urbosa feels a deep responsibility, especially for Zelda, acting as her protector and guide. Then you've got Mipha, gentle, selfless, holding on to feelings she never gets to fully share. None of their stories feel complete. There is no real ending, just a sudden, painful stop to lives still searching for meaning. After all the chaos, a deep sadness lingers, and they simply don't move on. For 100 years, their spirits were trapped inside the divine beasts. They weren't alive, but they weren't gone either. They just watched as Hyrule fell apart, the kingdom they tried to save crumbling, and Link disappearing. They could only watch, unable to do anything, knowing how close they came to winning, and how badly it all ended. When Link returns and begins freeing the divine beasts, it might look like he's saving those champions, but it doesn't really feel like a rescue. Instead, he's giving them an ending that they never had. After 100 years, they can finally let go of the fight they lost. When Calamity Ganon is finally defeated, there's no real celebration for the champions. They don't get to go home or be recognised or share in the victory they helped create. Instead, they simply fade away. After 100 years of waiting, they finally let go. And what makes the champion story so tragic is that they died believing that they had failed. In their final moments, they were outsmarted, alone, defeated, watching everything that they cared about, and it all fell apart. Even though they may have lost, the champions still made a difference. Their fight weakened Ganon, their spirits kept the divine beasts in place, and when Link returned, their power helped him succeed where they couldn't. They didn't get to see the victory, but they were still part of it. They were meant to be the heroes who saved Hyrule and stood at the heart of its greatest victory. But instead, their story turned out very differently.
In the greatest Zelda game of the series, Twilight Princess, Link encounters a mysterious golden wolf just outside of the Forest Temple. Upon closer inspection, the wolf lunges at the hero, taking him to an ethereal plane in the clouds above Hyrule, revealing itself to actually be a large skeletal spectre, a phantom knight cloaked in mystery. This is the hero's shade, a former swordsman of a past time who, in his afterlife, is here to teach Link his special sword techniques. Throughout the course of the game, Link encounters the Golden Wolf several times, discovering Howling Stones in order to learn the 7 hidden skills that aid his adventure, one of which, the ending blow, being used to finish off Ganondorf himself. But just who is this mysterious knight, and how did he come to find himself in this form? It's been heavily covered within the Zelda community that the hero's shade is the spirit of the Hero of Time, the hero we saw in the 2 previous adventures, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. His spirit lingers on, over a century later, but why? He's full of regret and disappointment in not managing to pass down his knowledge as a gifted swordsman. He further laments the fact that he wasn't remembered as a hero, referring to the fact that once the Hero of Time defeated Ganon in a battle of the ages, saving the Kingdom of Hyrule, he was sent back in time to prevent it all from happening. As a result, his adventure and triumph was not to be known or remembered by anyone. It's a sad state to find the once courageous Hero of Time, now broken by time. But the real mystery around the hero's shade is, how did he die? How did he become this phantom? What happened to the legendary hero who slayed the evil of the past and protected Hyrule? Well, it's sort of a mystery. There are hints and speculations, the first of which is the obvious red eye. This is not a trait of the heroes, which begs the question of, why does the shade have this feature? It's been speculated that perhaps however the Hero of Time fell involved an injury directly to the eye, perhaps an arrow directly into his head, a blade piercing through his skull, both gruesome wounds. It's also commonly speculated that the shade's almost Stalfos-like appearance hints at the Hero of Time falling in battle within the Lost Woods, the same location he is seen exploring following the events of Majora's Mask, going deeper into the magical woodlands that many have succumbed to. It's said that those who become lost within these woodlands become Stalfos, skeletal undead beings, who, important to note, also have red eyes. It's suggested that he died in combat during his adventure to try and find Navi, his fairy companion during the events of Ocarina of Time. The fact is, we don't know for certain how this hero died, we just know that he did, and if anything, that makes his passing all the more tragic. It's a mystery, a story with no certain end, one that left such an iconic hero in a sorry, regretful state. But there is a nice ending. He does manage to pass on his skills to the hero of this time, all of which are used throughout his adventure, and as mentioned already, the ending blow skill, the first one learned on this adventure, is used by the hero of Twilight to put an end to Ganondorf's rule.
In Tears of the Kingdom, we return to one of the earliest times in Hyrule's history, a time that feels very different from what we usually see. It's the beginning of something new with a sense of stability and hope for a future not yet shaped by conflict. At the centre of that time is Queen Sonia. She has a kind of quiet and thoughtful strength, much like Princess Zelda. It comes from wisdom, patience, and her ability to see beyond the present. She understands consequences both now and in the future. And Sonia stands for a different kind of strength, one based on understanding instead of brute force. With Rauru, she helps build a kingdom based on unity. Different people and cultures come together through trust, and that belief is at the heart of everything she does. She believes Hyrule can be more than just a cycle of conflict, it can be stable and lasting. More than anything, she believes in people. That belief defines her, but it also makes her vulnerable. When Ganondorf appears, he doesn't show up as an obvious enemy. Instead, he acts like an ally, offering loyalty and cooperation. In a new kingdom built on unity, that offer means a lot. It isn't dismissed or treated with suspicion, like it might be in a harsher world. Sonia sees hope in that moment. She imagines a future where even Ganondorf could be part of a united Hyrule. It feels like a future that could really happen, and maybe the kingdom that she and Rauru are building can avoid the fate that so often happens in The Legend of Zelda. What makes Sonia's death tragic is how it happens. There's no battlefield, no long fight, no moment where she's overpowered. Instead, it's quiet, controlled. Ganondorf gets close and waits until she's most vulnerable. And then, in an instant, he murders her. There's no real warning or time to react, and no chance for her to use her power. Ganondorf takes her secret stone, making himself much stronger than before, and that is one of the reasons why this murder feels so cold. Sonia's downfall is even sadder because it comes from trust. She believes the future she dreams of is possible, and that others can help make it real. And the moment she dies, all of that crumbles. The vision of Hyrule Sonia helped build starts to fall apart. Rauru is pushed into a conflict he wanted to avoid. Unity is replaced by war. Ganondorf rises now stronger, not just from his own power, but from what he took from her. Her death is a turning point for the whole kingdom, when hope turns into something utterly unavoidable. What makes this tragedy stand out is how easily it could have been avoided. Sonia isn't careless or unaware. In many ways, she understands more than anyone. She sees the long-term effects of actions and knows how important it is to build something lasting, and values trust as the foundation for unity. But it's that same trust that leads to her downfall. She believed that change was possible. Her death isn't shown as a failure of strength, but as the price of hope, the price of believing someone who always wanted power could change. It's a reminder that even wisdom and foresight cannot always save you. In a series known for courage, power, and wisdom, Sonia stands for something different. She represents faith in people, unity, and the idea that the cycle can be broken not by force, but by understanding.
Deaths are often something not shown in full grit and detail. The Zelda series brilliantly portrays such strong events and emotions through its unique storytelling, layered mysteries, and rich lore. However, it's a very much present part of what on the surface is a whimsical fantasy adventure. Zelda games flow through so many different emotions, and the feelings around the passing of characters is one I feel the series handles really well. Let me know down in the comments your favourite character who tragically passed on in the Zelda series. I'd love to hear why, and how you felt about it all. Thanks a ton for watching, folks. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe for plenty more fabulous Zelda content from myself, and drop a cheeky wee like down below, it really helps the channel out. A big thanks goes to Triforce Times for joining me on this video. He's an excellent Zelda tuber who makes interesting lore, mystery, and deep dive content. His channel, as well as the other end of this collaboration, can be found linked below in the description, as well as the card in the top right of the video. As always, a massive thank you goes to my channel backers for helping to make this video all the more possible. If you'd be interested in supporting my content beyond just watching my videos, which is already more than appreciated, then check out the membership information video that can be found by clicking the join button down below. If you'd like to keep up to date with what I'm up to, then drop me a follow on my socials, which are also linked in the description. A link to my Discord server can also be found there if you want to hop in to chat to myself and many other wonderful Zelda fans. Thanks again for watching, folks. I hope you have a relaxing rest of your day or night. And until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.